What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Advice. We are back. I know, 2 videos within 24 hours. Who is this? What's going on? If you did not see the last video, this is where we left off. The first 10 games of the Global Challenge I did not record because I was not planning to, but it was so crazy that I needed to get evidence of what was going on. So, recorded the rest of the run. This is the 14th game. It's Miraidon, but not the standard Miraidon, because it has Incineroar and Treadmill. So I'm thinking it's probably like a choice band, Iron Treads. I'm thinking, well, what if it's like Terra Flying Discharge Miraidon? I was like, well, if it is, then Raikou's really good, and so is Calyrex. But then I start realizing, wait a minute, it's going to have Electric Terrain, it's probably going to have a speed boost on top of Choice Band. And then Raikou gets obliterated whether I am electric or Terra Water because of the Miraidon. So I start thinking, okay, what can I do about that? Well, we can use Indeedee to get rid of electric terrain. And Incineroar is decent here, but they have so many things that threaten it. You know, all 3 of the top Pokemon hit Incineroar really hard. And then Treadmills can too, so I think that going hyper offense and just using Indeedee to get rid of their terrain is best, and I want to have Calyrex in the back because I want Urshifu in the lead. I think Urshifu, with the opportunity for Indeedee to switch in, can be really good. Amoonguss looks good here too, but I like this game plan. You know, my Indeedee is the newest member of the team, so the Indeedee game plans are not quite as fleshed out as, you know, some of my Amoonguss and Incineroar game plans, but I've found that Indeedee with Helping Hand and Follow Me can get Calyrex out of really tricky situations. So we do like that, we do appreciate that. We see that it's standard Electric Seed on the Farigiraf. And because they didn't lead Fake Out or Iron Treads, Urshifu is pretty free to do whatever I'd like here. I think it's really useful against the potential Pokemon in the back, the Incin, the Iron Hands, the Urshifu, so I want to get it out, maybe bait their Terra. I'm looking to see what they have in the back. I'm guessing Incineroar and either Urshifu or Iron Hands. So I want to just Snarl, and I want to U-turn, because I think that waiting for them to Terra can make Urshifu much more effective. And I should outspeed their entire team if I can keep terrain off the field. So they just go Terra Fairy immediately, which is understandable. They feel like they might be able to pick up 2 quick KOs, especially with Helping Hand. So they aren't Scarf Miraidon, we do outspeed. Decent little chip into the Farigiraf, and all that chip matters because Ice Rider wants to come in and Glacial Lance it, and that +1 defense makes that a little more difficult than we like. So we get rid of the terrain here. That will drop the Miraidon special attack significantly. And we see the Dazzling Gleam. It hits Indeedee hard, but it does less than half to Raikou, so after the Snarl, we'll survive another one. Indeedee looks like it's probably in range still if they go for the Helping Hand again. And I do want to preserve Indeedee because they could switch out Miraidon here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, considering that I Snarled it. And Raikou looks like it could take another one. I want to Volt Switch off the Miraidon just in case they do switch out, and Protect is cool, but I'd like to just get off the field. So we'll just go into Ice Rider. And it didn't look like they switched out their Miraidon now, actually. They just go for Helping Hand again. And Dazzling Gleam. Oof, and my Raikou dies with the crit. Okay, so That's unfortunate because the Volt Switch damage would have been so nice to put them in range of Terra Water Surging Strikes. But instead, I lose my Raikou, and I'm forced to bring in Urshifu a bit prematurely. And so my only play is to go for the Terra Water Surging Strikes, because regular Surging Strikes doesn't pick up Miraidon. As a matter of fact, Terra Water won't pick up from here either without the chip, but I cannot afford to lose Urshifu. So, hit the Terra Water. And with the one Snarl and the lack of Electric Train boosting them, we should be able to survive. They go for the Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam again, which they do. Yeah, see, I don't know. I'm just not impressed with that damage. I'm max attack Jolly. It's not like I'm skimping on the attack investment, but Urshifu just always leaves stuff in the red, even with Terra. And it's not that fast without Choice Scarf. It doesn't have spread moves. It's all single target, so a lot of people complain that it's broken. I just don't think so. But anyways, we take out Miraidon with the Glacial Lance. And it looked like it did enough damage to Farigiraf there that if they do have Incineroar and they intimidate us back to neutral, we should still pick up Farigiraf. It might be close. The fact that they are taking a while to figure out who they're going to bring in makes me feel like they didn't bring their Urshifu, because if I was in their position and I had Urshifu, it would be brought in immediately. And that's Incineroar. So we do get intimidated back down with Calyrex. But they've used their Terra, so Surging Strikes into Incin is free. They can't fake out because I have Terrain, so I just need to hit Glacial Lance. They do go for the fake out, but Psychic Terrain protects us, as we are not Flying type or Levitating. Ooh, and they're Rocky Helmet, so we're going to only get off 2 hits, but it does look like it will put them in range of Glacial Lance. So Urshifu goes down. Okay, we do pick up the KO on Farigiraf. And we still have ND for redirection. And we are +2. And like I said, I think that they don't have Urshifu yet. It doesn't look like Urshifu. Iron Hands, cool. So, I don't think that Glacial Lance picks up from here at +2 because Iron Hands is pretty fat. So I'm going to get to finish them off with a Psychic. Yeah, they do survive. But we outspeed with Indeedee and blah. Let Indeedee get a little clutch KO to end the game. So yeah, that puts us on a little 4-game win streak to begin day 2. And we'll keep it going. So you can see after 4 wins in a row, we have come from the 5,000s to the low 2,000s. I'm hoping to get into the top 1,000 because that is the cutoff for getting CP. Now, I'm not trying to make it to Worlds or anything, but I think it would be cool to qualify for the CP. So this is a pretty popular team. This team is actually the reason why Indeedee ended up on the team. The Wheezing Cali Shadow lead is very difficult for me. And I didn't really have anything to take Wheezing off the field when I had Tornadus. So between Ice Rider and Indeedee, unless they're very fast Wheezing, we'll outspeed with both. And we can KO them before they can set up Toxic Spikes or Poison Gas. And if they protect Wheezing with Terra Normal on my Ice Rider, Cali Shadow can't do enough to Indeedee and Ice Rider, usually, before I can take the Wheezing off the field. So they do lead Cali Shadow, but it's with Urshifu Dark instead. So this is another one of those situations where Sash on the Indeedee would be really nice, but instead we are Safety Goggles. Now on Showdown, I got Safety Goggles to be useful a decent amount of times, but I think that Focus Sash is just a better item for Indeedee, and having the Safety Goggles on Incineroar allows Incineroar to operate in front of Moongus. But I'm going to go for Helping Hand and just Terra Normal Glacial Lance, because unless they're choice banded, close combat won't pick up. And they're going for Terra on Cali Shadow and going for Terra Ghost, so they're probably Specs, is my guess. And if they Specs into Astral Barrage, they will be in very poor position. So we get to see the Crown Jeweled Horse. Terra Normal is just such a good Terra for Cali Shadow. Oh, there's Scarf Urshifu. They outspeed their Cali Shadow, so that's nice. We know that they should not be able to do a ton of damage with close combat if they switch out Urshifu. And we don't KO either one, but they're both in U-turn range, so that's nice. Now I would like to KO the Urshifu, but if I U-turn off the Urshifu, I'm going to have to bring in a Moongus, and it's going to take a lot of damage to Astral Barrage if they don't switch Calyrex, so I don't think I can afford that. I think I have to U-turn the Calyrex and just Glacial Lance. Okay, they switch out the Urshifu into Dondozo. So if they, yep. U-turning off of the Urshifu now is looking like it would have been the better play, but let's see if we can get around this. Because getting in a Moongus immediately before Dondozo has an opportunity to click any buttons is great, but now we have to kind of, riskily get a Moongus in. And a lot of Dondozo run Body Press, and that looks pretty defensive to me, so I would not be surprised if a Body Press comes out. But they have used Terrestrialization already, so they at least can't get the stab for Terra Normal. Or sorry, Terra Fighting. I'm going to U-turn off Dondozo, and I realized that Dondozo did not have leftovers either, so I'm a little nervous about it being Safety Goggles, so I'm keeping that in mind. I want to U-turn Dondozo, and I want to switch in Amoonguss just in case they do Body Press the Cali Ice. And just get ahead of it, see what they're doing. And if they're going to attack into the Urshifu slot, it's likely to be an Order Up, which Cali Ice will take really well and recover with some leftovers. So because I have two physical attackers who don't really hit Dondozo hard, I need to be very exact with my damage placement. Okay, yeah, there's the Order Up. Take a nice little chunk. And they're attack booster, so they're not defense, which is really nice. Just gonna go for Protect. And go for a Clear Smog. They cannot go Terra Steel because they already used their Terra on Shadow Rider. They go for the Heavy Slam. Let's actually a lot of damage with that +1. Or +3, I guess, but now it's plus nothing. They're neutral. And I am curious if they are safety goggles or not. I'm willing to find out. Decent little chunk there. They heavy slam Amoonguss again. And Spore works, so maybe they're Assault Vest. That would be my other guess. Or Covert Cloak. Either way, they are asleep now. We're pretty healthy with Ice Rider, and I can start to use Regenerator to get Amoonguss healthy again. So I'm going to go for a Glacial Lance because I don't want to KO Dondozo too early. Let's get in Urshifu. Okay, so they have Scarf Urshifu, Tatsugiri, and Kali Shadow. We haven't seen a Sash, so Tatsugiri could be Sash. I am going to just Surging Strikes because everything is in Surging Strikes range at this point. So I don't need to click U-turn. I'd like to just keep the pressure of Urshifu's speed on the field now that their fast guys are coming in. Okay, so they are Focus Sash on their Tatsugiri. And we are in pretty good position for how difficult this team is. Alright, they're Scarf. So I want to switch in Amoonguss on the close combat just to avoid the chance of crit. We'll Surging Strikes the Tatsugiri because I don't want to take any muddy waters either. So we bring the Kali Ice to safety. Switch in Amoonguss, who's gotten a decent amount back from Regenerator. They do go for the close combat, and we tank it. Looks like they're going to survive Rocky Helmet Chip. But we have them pinned now with Rage Powder, because Surging Strikes picks up. They are scarfed into close combat. And I'm scarfed into Surging Strikes. And their Kali Shadow is one strike away from heading right back to its Pokeball. So pretty dominant victory this one. And I'd say they actually brought the Pokemon that were more difficult for us. You know, that most people just lead the Kali Shadow and the Weezing and then have Dondozo Tatsugiri in the back. But this guy actually brought Urshifu, and I'm not sure if it made it more difficult, but it could have. Here's a little Rage Powder. Yeah, their Urshifu is faster than mine, too. Get a little clip there. We clipped you. Amoonguss is still standing, and you are not, even though you attacked. And here's a little pop-off Surging Strikes. One shot. Pow. And we do it again. 5 wins in a row to start day 2. And luck hasn't even really been on our side, honestly. We're just kind of like that. So we're on a healthy 5-game win streak, feeling pretty good. 6th game of the day 2 run, and we get Pico Star, and I know I've seen the name before, and they got a super high rating. I'm like, who is this? And then I'm starting to think it's Battle Room, because I feel like that's where I saw it, but I'm not 100% sure. And I want to look it up on YouTube, but I don't have the time. I know I don't. So I'm like, alright, let's just focus on the task at hand. But I do think that it is Battle Room. And I know he plays ridiculously risky, especially in the early turns. So I want to figure out how I can capitalize on that. And I think that leading Incineroar to make him feel a little threatened and Urshifu can be really good. Now, Chi-Yu is one of the banes of this team, so I need to play around it really carefully, and Amoonguss with Terra Water is really good into that. But Indeedee is really good in this team too, so kind of trying to figure out which one. But I see the Ditto, and I know that Battle Room is a big Ditto fan, so that's why I also was really feeling like this must be Battle Room. And I knew he'd bring Ditto, because he loves Ditto. And the other thing he loves is using Spore, so I figured, okay, if I get my Amoonguss on the field, I can bait him into bringing in that Ditto, because he cannot resist the opportunity to spam Delicious Spore. Like a dozen cupcakes, he loves it. And so, my idea was that I get Amoonguss out, get him to copy it, and then bring out Ice Rider and ram it with Glacial Lances. So, I saw the Chi-Yu ability activate before the Koraidon, and so I know it's Scarfed. But that's the kind of thing that Battle Room will miss. So I'm not even sure that he knows that I know it's Scarfed. And I want to close combat it so bad, but he's a really good player, and he has Flutter Mane as a potential switch in, so I am not willing to just close combat into Chi-Yu. So I'm going to Parting Shot it as a mid ground. And I'm just going to get a close combat into Koraidon because it does 2-shot. And if they ignore my Urshifu, then I can threaten close combat into either slot next turn. But yeah, they just would have allowed me to close combat the Chi-Yu, and instead he just goes for a double up into Urshifu and takes out my Urshifu, but that's alright. It is not preferable. I would have liked to take out the Chi-Yu with Urshifu. But yeah, that's one of his specialties. He knows that he can just leave a Pokemon there, and good players are going to overpredict, overextend themselves. So that's what I did, and I lost my Urshifu. But I did get a Parting Shot off into the Chi-Yu at least, and he is spamming inaccurate Heat Wave, so I do always have the potential for a dodge. But I am forced to bring in Cali Ice a lot earlier in a much more risky position than I would like to. So now it's time for Amoonguss to come in. And I know that Protect is the best play here. And he has 2 Pokemon that he can switch in, if not more, if there's like a safety goggles on the Raging Neck that can absorb a Spore with Ditto and Ogerpon. So, I think that Koraidon is the one that he switches out to predict my Terra or Protect. And I want to Spore the Chi-Yu because Chi-Yu is the one that is by far the most threatening to me. And sure enough, Koraidon does switch out into Ditto. So yeah, we were correct in thinking that he could not resist being able to copy my Ditto. I was unfortunately not able to punish it with the immediate Glacial Lance, but I will be getting off a Spore at least. Now the only thing that's rough is that I had to Terra Water in front of his Amoonguss switching, so now my Amoonguss can go to sleep. And I don't have a safety goggles with me. So Mr. Hire fires off another Heat Wave. Does connect with Amoonguss, but it doesn't do too much. And he goes to sleep. So now I want to Glacial Lance. He doesn't have any switch-in, so he will have to use a Terastallization on Ditto if he wants to survive, I believe, at this time. And so I go for a Rage Powder just in case he does go for the terrestrialization, but he doesn't. He just protects. It's good play by him, good patient play. So it's a good ability of his to go, 100 miles per hour, full speed, and then be able to, on the perfect turn, just go full stop and catch you. The instincts are there with Cat. But we get a good chunk into Chiyu with Glacial Lance. But I kind of showed my hand, and he knows that I'm Rage Powdering to cover for the Ditto Terra. So now I want to turn around and Spore it. And it's a speed tie, this Spore. So if he wins the speed tie, he will put my Cali Ice to sleep. We'll kind of be in a match position where, we both have sleeping Pokemon on the field. But then I see he doesn't Terra, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's just giving it to me, I guess. But of course he wasn't, because he's way better than that, and it is a Sash Ditto. So I got played, and he spores me. And then I spore into his grass type. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was a bad play anyways, because if Ditto isn't Sash, it's probably going to be Safety Goggles. I know it wasn't Scarf. And I go for the Clear Smog into Ditto, just trying to take it out, but he switches it. Because he knows now that my Ice Rider's asleep. If he can position Ditto into the position where my sleeping Ice Rider is, he gets not 1, but 2 restricteds. So Chew stays asleep another turn. I get my first turn of sleep. And we do break the Sturdy on Ogerpon, so that is nice. Unfortunately, I do not have Urshifu anymore, and I cannot Rage Powder Ogerpon, so it's a pretty dastardly position. I go for the Intimidate, just hoping that Intimidate will be enough to stop my Ice Rider from dying here with the one parting shot on the Chiyu, and maybe hoping that it's like a not very offensive Ogerpon, but we dodge the Heat Wave, but not on the Pokemon we want to. Incineroar dodges it, we take more damage than I'd like, and we do die to the Ivy Cudgel, so yeah, that Sash on the Ditto was really, really big for him. And now I have my 2 support Pokemon, Incineroar, Mungus, and he has all 4 of his guys still. So even though I got Ditto to 1 HP, I got Koraidon down below half, Chiyu pretty low, it was not enough on any spectrum, any part of the game plan. None of it went right. So yeah, that's my first loss on day 2. But it's to a good player, and good learning lesson. I definitely got outplayed. I did not deserve to win, so we will take that loss. But still, 5-1 on day 2 so far, and we'll get some more battles to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.